Truth Talks. Please, I'm excited about the Truth Talks. They are addressing true fellowship and what it means, what true fellowship and corporate worship looks like according to the Bible.
I guess the time was scored short. It was some things said before I even. Good morning. I promise. You remember that dull brain and the pencil? I'm the brain that the pencil was created for, because this brain go all over the place. But you mentioned spending time with God, and you said 40 days, and it's funny that at the time that when I was really coming into what I know now, I had the Bible app. Anybody got the Bible app in here? And you know this Bible app keep a ticker, right? So I was sitting there, and every day my wife and my kids would be going out to different places, and we'll be at events, and I'll just be on my phone reading the Bible app. Well, this Bible app got up to about 561, and then I missed a day. I was on vacation or something. But I didn't miss a day because I had my Bible with me. And then it picked right back up, and I got to about 499. Not telling you a vast number. It's just you never know how much time you're going to spend when that time comes. Now, those was days. Those wasn't just short periods. Those was sometimes it'll be the entire day, and my family is looking at me saying, "What's going on with you?" So when you do spend that time, don't look for a number. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 900 and something days. It's just funny there was a number to put out there. When you're spending time with them, listen, because that's the most important part. In my youth, I probably spent a lot of time with my mother and didn't listen. But as I got older, my ears became more in tune to what was being said. So anytime you spend with the Lord, no matter how much it is, just listen. Just listen, because God don't come to you just to waste your time. He is the author of time, the master of time. Nothing is wasted. So if you just stop by to say hello, that hello probably meant way more. Dig into something. Dig into something. Because you don't, when that hello comes or that hi comes by, you don't know what it's going to lead to. It may lead you to 900 and something days of reading your Bible that leads you to one day standing here delivering a message. So the time that was spent in the scriptures wasn't something that happened in one day. It was something that happened over time that led to this day. So spend that time. Spend that time getting your word, learn from it. If people come and talk to you about it, and it's honest believers, we all know try the spirit, right? Listen to them. Listen to them, because the message that each one is saying, even what I heard this morning about how much time we spend, is something more than just what it said. So let's get into it. Anybody did their homework? I can't help it if it's a Sunday and I'm still who I am by nature. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to want participation. I'm not going to change the involvement of the body because I can't do this by myself. But what I can do is tell you some of the things that I learned reading the scriptures. And if you don't got nothing to say about it, just ride along. But correct me if I'm wrong, because I take it everybody has read their scriptures in some way. How many people have heard the story of the 10 maidens? Raise your hands. This is a safe environment. Anybody, if the 10 maidens and Matthew 25, because that's where we're going to be hanging out at. We may go visit a couple scriptures in other ways, but we're going to start with these three parables. I wrote here 5, 2, and a question mark. Let me go ahead and put this right here in between them. Just pay a little bit of attention to me, not a lot, because half of the stuff I'm saying, it might make sense, but it only makes sense once you listen to the whole story. And it ain't my story, it's the story. Now, let me give a little bit of backstory on Matthew's 25. Matthew 25. I know I put the S in there because there's a lot of Matthews in this world, but I'm only talking about this particular one that hung out with Jesus. When we talk about Matthew in this particular verse in 25, Jesus is teaching parables. In the previous verse, he was teaching parables. Parables was a way that the Jewish community understood things. So certain mentions in parables, you might say, I don't get it, but I get the message. Well, let me help you get a little bit more of that understanding. We're going to talk about Greek weddings, how they work. Anybody in here is a master of camping that actually took a lamp out? I had to go look that up, because when you read things and they just simply go by, you think a lamp is a lamp. You think oil is oil. You think 10 maidens is just 10 maidens out here waiting for their opportunity to meet the right man. But when you truly dig into these parables as the Jewish community or the Hebrew community would have seen them, they would have seen the richness of what these 10 women were doing. Even the 5 that was foolish. Oh, it's a division. That line right there, those crosses, consider them doors. Consider that line a line that whether you're on one side or the other. But as we go to each door, a door will close and will never open again. So we must understand that those doors in these parables are reflections of who we are and how we carry ourselves. In fact, I love how the beginning of Matthew 25 opens. And the first line from Matthew 25 is this. Made it right. Hold on. The kingdom of heaven will be. Now, we know that the kingdom of heaven is going to be 10 virgins running around with their heads cut off. But he's given his example because when they heard the words, the kingdom of heaven, they didn't say, well, this is a death that we understand dying. They understood it. Everything in the culture was under the kingdom of heaven. Every piece, every facet, everything that we're getting ready here now is like under the kingdom of heaven. When we hear in the Genesis how he rolled back the heavens, well, everything is under it. So when he's talking about this, he's talking about the people under the kingdom of heaven. It's reign. And he gives us an example of who they are. Don't worry about it. We might see a few light bulbs go off today because the light bulbs went off for me. I have read this several times, but you know the beauty of reading it this time? I was reading it for y'all. Every time I'm learning that I picked up the scriptures for myself, I just walked away with an empty feeling. I felt good for a few minutes, and then next week I had to run right back to the scriptures and get that empty feeling again. And then it would reset because I wasn't learning anything from the scriptures. I was just reading them. I was walking with God, but just on an occasion. Because sometimes it would be a little too difficult for me when he would say things about myself that I didn't quite understand. So I've changed my perspective in looking at these scriptures and saying, let me just read them and get to a point, get to the end. No, let me understand the people of it because we are the people of these stories. So let's find out if we're carrying enough oil in our walk with the Lord. I'm reading Matthew 25:1. The kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. Look here is what it's saying about the kingdom of heaven. Do we see any difference yet? Who went out to meet the bridegroom? All of them. This wasn't because I'm faithful, I'm going out to meet the bridegroom. Because I'm chosen, I'm going to meet the bridegroom. This was a common understanding that going to meet this person that was showing up was of importance for everybody. I'll prove it to you because people who weren't even involved in this story, they're going to be the ones that point out the signs. We live under this kingdom of heaven and these things are shown to us. So we have these 10 people who show up and they are ready because they understand him coming. They have a desire to meet the bridegroom. All will desire to meet the bridegroom. Now, I can throw out scripture and say, every knee will bow and every tongue will confess. Whether your desire is in earnest of love and compassion, or that desire comes followed by the wrath of God, you're still going to want to meet him because his glory isn't going to be something that's going to want to be ignored or rejected, but it will be. And in that, it's still going to be that acceptance. Those who reject will still accept. Look at these 10 maidens. Look at the picture that they're painting. They're going out and they're ready to meet the bridegroom. They have a desire. But desire isn't the focal point. Hanging on desire is not enough. We must get past what we desire because guess what else desires? We just read it, right? We just heard it. The flesh has its own desires. And if you start putting desires against desires and you don't possess the capability of Christ in you, who you think going to win? The flesh. It's natural. It is the natural man and it does what it wants to do naturally. So when we see these 10 going out, this is the natural desire to meet the bridegroom. Now let's talk a little bit about weddings. Anybody here familiar with weddings and how they did in Jerusalem? All right. First of all, it wasn't just a wedding. It was more of a contract. The father would have a daughter. The daughter would love her father. And the father wouldn't want to separate from said daughter, but he would have an understanding when a worthy suitor or groom came. And initially, now, because I'm gonna get to all this, I'm just giving you a little prequel. So I don't like anybody not having the whole story. It's very interesting. So this father, he would say, "I love my daughter. I love y'all." I was gonna wear my shirt, but my daughter gave me today. But I said that probably exclude one. Maybe we can go on date. But you love your daughter, and a suitor comes, and this suitor says, "I have everything that I have prepared for your daughter." Because a lot of times either suitors were rich or their family had some type of negotiation. Here's 10 cows for your daughter. It sounds crazy, but if you understand, this was the wealth. This was letting them know, I can give you 10 of my cows and still have 30,000 more over here. Don't worry about your daughter being taken care of. Not only am I going to take care of her, I'm going to take care of the family that I'm taking her from. These were things that we wouldn't see. And weddings normally play. Hey, shake hands on this day. I'll come back and get that beautiful young lady. It wasn't like we do now. We date, we hang out. No, it was literally, I probably won't see you for a while because I have things to go. I have to go and prepare my house for your arrival. Because when you're single, right, you live in a bachelor pad. It's just your house. When y'all thought Jesus was saying, my father has many houses and I go and prepare. It wasn't that there wasn't a preparation, but it was understanding I have to go and get things ready for you. I already had them ready since the beginning of time, but I had to tell you that because you're not privy to where I'm at. But I tell you, I'm going home to fix this house up for you. So we see the eagerness even on the other side of the groom, waiting, getting things prepared. We even see that in this parable where there's a delay. It doesn't even say why the groom was delayed. It just said he was delayed. But in the process of this, we have these 10 maidens who are very desiring to see the bridegroom. Now, it's going to go line by line. Might go fast, might go slow. I don't know how fast, and I don't know if we're going to get through all of them, but if y'all hang out with me, this is what you will get. It's lit. Use your talent. Secret boss. I ain't write it up there, but that's what you're going to get, hopefully. You'll understand that their lamps had to stay what? There it is. And right here, they had to use what? Y'all don't even know. Did we get to that parable yet? Now they had that. That's the oil right here. See, that's how I like giving people the secret. We didn't even get through the first door. There's the talents. We're going to get there. And we can get to the third door, which is the secret boss. But let's stick on this door right here because I just like telling everybody what the doors look like as they begin to open up in our minds. Because that's what we're talking to here. We're not talking to this flesh. We already fought against this. We have already won against this. Now we're speaking to the spirit to see how we work the things in us to make this flesh move the way it's supposed to according to Christ, not to us. So these 10 maidens. All right, let's go. 5 of them were what? 5 of them were foolish and 5 were wise, which gives us another understanding under the kingdom of heaven. We're going to have some fools out here that's not going to listen to what we are saying. Now, granted, these fools may even be among us to have oil. In the beginning, did it say 10 maidens and we knew 5 was going to be this one? No, the opening tells us it's 10 of them. But when we get a little further, we find out these 10 are not the same. They have been put on different sides of the table, not by the person that's coming, but by their desires to want to be with that person. Think about it. They got 10 women. They out here desiring. Or 10 maidens. Now, when we think about a maiden, right? A maiden is even in that being a maiden. We hear maiden associated with virgin, associated with purity. So we knew that these 10 people were pure. They were waiting. 10 maidens, 10 virgins, however the text, 10 people of pureness waiting. But we see that even 5 of the purest people were fools to reject what was truly coming. Now, when you say reject, it's like, man, they didn't reject, they showed up. Rejection doesn't always look like what we see it. You know, I grew up, right? And we used to play, well, you know, the older people called it the dozens. In Philly, they called it bussing. And whatever it was, if you wasn't mentally prepared with your words to defend yourself against the slurs and the slanders that came, you were a victim. You were foolish because you did not understand the combat that you was dealing with. You rejected the environment that was showing you what it was going to be. I had a friend. high school friend. And he used to do what I call backwards compliments. He was his mom and dad had money. He was in the streets making money. He was doing a lot of bad things. And I didn't have a lot. But I kind of stayed away from him because in conversation, I knew he would do things like a backwards compliment. He would go up to somebody who had something that they thought was classy and nice. And he was like, because obviously his was more. And he would go up to him and he would say, man, it's a nice jacket. I wish I would have got that jacket. Sound like a compliment, right? In all actuality, he's rejecting the fact that what you have is not as good as what I have. So rejection doesn't always look the same. Backwards compliments. You ever heard that before? Don't give me no backwards compliment. You keep your compliment. I like my compliments front ways. Just tell me what it looked like. A compliment can also be if it doesn't look right. Compliment me by telling me, you look off today. You see what I'm saying? You don't have to backwards compliment anybody. But we see that that's just a form of rejection here. They rejected because they were foolish. Simple enough, right? Well, we're going to keep painting this picture of rejection. What made them foolish? For when the foolish took their lamps, they took them with no oil. But the wise, they not only grabbed the oil, because oil wasn't just enough. Now, a little culture about the lamps. Now, a lot of people may have seen the little lamps here that we see at the campsite, and they put, no, okay. These lamps were literally lamps you would hold in your hand. Probably sometimes depending on how much you had in your craft, but they would hold these lamps in their hand. They was little lamps, and they would hold them, right? And they would burn through whatever oil it was, and they would adjust the wick so it would stay bright. Just a small lamp like this. But eventually the oil inside the lamp that was poured in there originally will burn out. It's gonna burn out, right? But the wise person had a flask. Now, growing up in the Navy, you know, they say drink like a sailor. The type of flask we had was almost for the same motives and provisions. When you got to where you was at and you was done partying and having a good time and everybody's ran out, you would just give my flask. So even a foolish drunk is wise to know to bring a little bit of extra. So we see the wisdom being utilized for good. We see wise maidens showing up with not just oil in their lamp, but a flask to back it up just in case. Because when the bridegroom came and they knew after he left, I'm giving you the whole story as it goes. He left. They knew that what would happen. He was an earnest man. He was a wise man. He was kind. They knew that when he said, I'm leaving to go and do something, I shall return. They knew his word was his word. But the foolish didn't take his word for what it was worth. They just took his word was, if he's coming back, I can be partially ready because I got multiple chances to get ready. Somebody once said, if you stay ready, you don't have to. There it is. So the 5 was foolish. All right. We see here wise versus foolish maidens. Even those with light, which we can look at as belief, even those with the light would still need the extra oil to keep that light burning. Now, we heard somebody say sustenance or to sustain. Oil in the lamp does what? Sustain the light. They understood that if I had this light that is already burning in me, which is the faith that's coming, I need to make sure that I have the substance to keep pouring into that faith. Now we can attest the substance to a lot of things. Dig in your scriptures. That's the oil. They talk about, put the oil in the head. Where are you going to get the oil from? You'll learn those things from the scriptures. Dig into them. The substance, the thing we can hold on to. We can hold on to the word to keep our lamps burning. So imagine those who don't read the scriptures and don't understand the text. But they know God. They tell us their light's burning real bright. But when he come, are you ready? Are you standing in the darkness able to light up your environment? And as you see, when I say light up your environment, it's lit, the talent gonna roll in. I don't think we're gonna get to the talents today, but we definitely gonna get through this light, hopefully, because it all makes sense as it comes together. So that's 2, 3. Matthew 25, 4 and 5. The wise took their flask of oil with their lamp as the bridegroom was delayed, and they all became drowsy and slept. Some texts might say something else. They all became tired, and then eventually they fell asleep. However you look at it. But even the faithful, even those who are waiting, get tired. This is a long walk. Narrow path, not a wide one. Anybody ever scale mountains?
Mhm.
All right. Anybody ever been like to you go out of these countries and they're like, hey man, we got these roads. And you're like, yeah, the roads is great. You get in the car and you're like, I think I'm gonna walk for the rest of my time here. I was in Jamaica with my mom for a surprise wedding. It was a good day. But they rode us up there on that on that mountain, and I was up there with my cousin, and it was a baby crying, and it was so bad that he just kept saying, "Shut." Die. Sometimes two wheels will be the only thing on the side of that mountain, but we made it to the top. But you get tired. It's a rough run. You hear people say, man, you fell asleep reading the scriptures because you were studying so hard. Man, it was a rough run. It was a man studying so hard he fell out of the window, died. They had to pick him up, bring him back in, set him there and say, let's do this all over again. It's tough carrying this oil. It's tough making sure that you have enough, that even when you're just walking around with your lamp, you got a little extra in your pocket. It's tough. It will make you drowsy. But look who fell asleep. Was it just the 10 maidens who was wise? Or was it the foolish? All of them. You know why? Because the foolish, even though they know they weren't prepared and they knew this road was weary, they value tiredness over preparation. You see where I'm going here? It's the values that we look at of the people in the story. These parables are giving us these values. Don't think I'm going to forget that the groom was delayed. Do you know that some of these weddings in time, the groom could be delayed for up to a year? You literally would make this deal at the beginning of the year. I love you, girl. You're the most beautiful woman in my life, and I want to be with you forever. But I got to go. Where are you going? Back home. Got to get things ready. How long you gonna be gone? A year. Whoa. You telling me I have to patiently wait for this betrothal for a whole year? And then on top of that, when you coming back, you late? Think about it. Who do I sound like? Do I sound like a wise person? Or do I sound foolish? The funny thing is we all can relate to that story I just said because it's easy to be foolish. It's easy to think that we have time. It's easy to think that I prepared just enough. But the work is there to be done. It ain't easy. So when we see the parable of these 10 maidens, don't look at them because they called them maidens. Because he could have switched it up, said, it's 10 of this standing at the door. It's 10 of that, and split them in half, and we'll still get the same thing. Those who desire to be with the bridegroom or the master forever versus those who just think of it in happenstance. If I have oil and he come back, I'll be fine. Doesn't work like that. Preparedness is the key. Let's continue on. They took their flash, went out. Hey, I actually wrote that. Preparedness is the key. Mm-hmm. Look at that. I promise you, sometimes I get up here and I have my notes and I'm rolling. Y'all like, man, he's saying it. I come back to these notes and I'm like, I was talking, but I didn't get to that note. Do I skip it? Do I keep going? Y'all here with me, and I'm here with y'all. Just enjoy the ride. So preparedness is key. The wise carry both faith and belief throughout the darkness, trusting in the King who brings the light. Now, a lot of times it's two. And now do y'all think that when this groom was showing back up in the middle of the night, that he just rolled up in the darkness? No, the light is also a identifier of those who waited in earnest, who actually didn't just say, I'm partially waiting, or I'm somewhat waiting. I might be waiting on this day, but that day I don't have enough oil. I'm not going to go out. Do you understand the difference in what it is to be wise? To be wise is to put all of your investment and your oils into what is coming. The king, the bridegroom in this case. Now, we can teach about bridegrooms and other lessons where we will tell you about how the bridegrooms, the wedding, the great feast, all of that comes along with a lot of revelations, the closing of things. But we hear about it because, once again, Jesus is saying the kingdom of heaven is like this. You hear a lot of people say, man, you can't compare anything to the Bible. You can't compare anything to the kingdom of heaven. If Jesus said it, I can. Hey, if he said the kingdom of heaven is like this, then that's what it is like. If he said the kingdom of heaven is like this, I bet you take note, because the kingdom of heaven is where we all believe and where we all currently reside right now. When this all goes down, how prepared are we? Are we prepared like the 10 maidens? And after the delay, this is 6, at midnight, there was a cry. Here is the bridegroom. Come out and meet him. Now, remember what I told you about the hearing, that they knew what was coming. They had already had their agreement with the fathers. They had already understood that this was coming to happen. And when they fell asleep, they heard a cry. This cry was a wake-up call. But to those who were being awakened, already prepared, it was a wake-up call to salvation, to my next destination, to my path, to the banquets. But can you imagine the state of waking up unprepared? You know the thing about when they both woke up? If we was to stop the verse right here, the general mind, or as they say, the reasonable standards, we pretty much already know the fate of these 2 people, or these 5. We pretty much got it down pat. Anybody see the wise? Let's act like we can. What's that thing they had on Men in Black? I need a neuralizer to hold it up and like push it real quick, because I don't got the cool shades. But like push it real quick to get you really seeing this. If we stop the story right here, we could probably talk about or debate the fates of the 5 and 5. But who would side with the foolish? Even unknowing the rest of the stories. Anybody siding with the foolish? Yet we do in our preparation, in the way we carry some things. I'm not here to kick and scream or make anybody feel. I'm here to show the things that these parables would have revealed to the people standing around hearing them. How many times did the parables, they hear them in the scriptures, and this was their reaction? Well, that Jesus guy came and told us some stuff. All right, y'all, I'm going back to my house. No reflection, no internal feeling of these things we read, because who's going to go look up what a bridegroom is? Who's going to go look up the history of lamps in Jerusalem? Who's going to go look up what was the culture like? I don't got time for that. I don't want to look up those things. Who's going to do that? But I told you, 900 and something days, I had no choice. It's better to have a choice than not have a choice. Trust me. If you are right now in a state where you have the scriptures in front of you to fill up your lamp, and you choosing to just light your light for whatever it is, I ask you, how close are you standing to the foolish? I'm not saying you are foolish, I'm not saying you're wise. Just saying, how close are you standing? Ask yourself, because that's what would have happened in this crowd. Somebody might have went home that particular day and said, I don't got enough oil in my house. This is what the scriptures are to do, to make you seek the things that you did not think you were missing. They did not think they were missing oil because they had enough. Now, all this is just a cool story, right? I'm going to put it in perspective. We ain't going to just leave you here as the story. We're going to tell you who all those people really are and what they represent. And at midnight, there was a cry. Awaken into the cry. When the cry came at midnight, we must awake and grab our lights. Close enough to grab, but they ain't have a lot of time. This wasn't the bridegroom has came. Let me run to Walmart real quick. Let me take care of everything I need to. Let me go see a friend. Let me go be closer to this person. Let me go do all the things I need to do instead of filling up my lamp. And I'm talking about the foolish here, because it ain't too much to say about the wise. We'll get to the wise. I love the wise response in this parable, because you hear a lot of people saying, you gotta give everybody something of this and that nature, and you gotta share it. No, 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 no. Jesus said, this is what the kingdom of heaven is like. So this is how I want to operate. Because if a king tells you how to operate in his court, if you don't operate like that, guess what kings do? Like we sometimes get to walk with him as a friend, but you forget that you're walking with a king. In the military, and I talk about it because that was one of the places I got to get my foundational understandings of a lot of things I did wrong. All right, you thought I was gonna say I did right. In the military, you will walk with an officer. Anybody in here walk with an officer before? And when you walking with that officer, you scrolling with him. You might be talking to him. Hey, yeah, sir, man, we gotta go get these people straight today. I'm sick of these evals. You're sick of them evals too. And then something happens. A junior sailor walks by and he goes, "Good morning, sir." And the officer goes, "Good morning, sailor." And you just look at him and say, "Hey, what's up?" That's not the protocol. That's not the rules. When you walk with an officer and a sailor comes up, guess what both of you are supposed to do? Both of you salute. Why? I'm not an officer. Why would I do that? Because I'm walking with somebody that carries power, and his power resides in me. So when I see someone who doesn't understand or have a greater understanding of this power, I need to act like the king that I'm standing next to. You get what I'm saying? We walk with the king. We're not out here just walking with just a friend. If it was just a friend, I'd be like, hey, I'm walking with anybody. This is more than a friend. This is a friend with power. This is a king. This is royalty. So when he says he's coming, the cry is coming out. It is no wake up and delay. It is wake up and go. So what makes you think that before you went to sleep, you could slack off? How many people lay down at night in their bed before they close their eyes and just go? Before you go to sleep, you slack off. You just go. You get in your bed, you had your day, you thank the Lord for your day, and you're like, it's been a great day. You go, I'm out. I'm out. You have very few to close their eyes at night and say, this is my last night. Them ladies laid down, prepared. Some woke up, realized how unprepared they were. This is what it's telling us. Carry your faith. Be prepared. All right. So then it didn't just wake up after the preparation to start to do, because they knew they had to move. They knew they had things to put in motion. And these are things that you would do while on the move. Some of the things would have been done before, but some of the things you do because it has to be done right there on the move to have the effect that you need to have in that place. Bear with me. Then all those virgins rose and trimmed their lamp. This was the one thing they did, because the lamp was what? The most important part of who they were. They didn't say, I got up and got dressed. They didn't say, it's nighttime. It's the midnight. It's the darkest hour. They didn't get up and prepare their clothes. Man, I got to look good for Christ. He coming. I got to be fresh as I'm in. No. They prepared a light so Christ could see them. Or in this case, the bridegroom. Kind of let it slip out who the bridegroom. We're good. I don't get it. Look, I can't help it, man. A good teacher. Hey, you know what, in school they used to say, man, when the teacher would tell the answer, do that. No, you ain't got to take no notes. All right. So these women, these maidens, they all got up, trimmed their lamps. Now, trimming a lamp, this is what I found out about trimming a lamp, because I was not a lamp trimmer. If you take me out camping, farming, anything in the wild wilderness, shooting, hunting, I'm telling you, if you don't give me proper instructions, we are not going to have the best day that you think. If you take me out camping, you be like, yeah, set this tent up, and you walk away, you may come back with a whole lot of other pieces on the ground. He's like, man, what did you do? You left me. I'm not a camper. You know what I mean? This is not something I was prepared for. So when it came to the lighting of the lamps, my first thought was a regular old camper lamp. Set it there. And I said, well, that seems simple enough to maintain. Anybody can do that. And then I realized, you go to the website, I realized a lot of people own things that they don't know how to maintain. How many people in here take care of their vacuum cleaner? I'm talking about not just dump the dirt out. I'm talking about change the filter. I'm talking about go in there, unhook things today. And if you read the manual, say once a month, you should unhook clean, wash. A vacuum cleaner was just an example. Blenders, toasters. I guarantee if you got that little toaster thing under there, some people ain't never pulled it out. I'm like, ooh, that's a lot of old crispiness for 3 years ago. When I say these things, it's not to point out our flaws. It's so we understand that we should work harder in maintaining that day. The little things we let go in our lives can represent the bigger things. Again, to these women, it was just oil in this parable. It was just oil, but to our understanding, because I also want to tell you this, at the end of most parables, Jesus say, and this one you understand. Here, here's some clarity. This one he said, nah, I'm not telling you nothing. You either get it or you don't. You either understand it, because those who understand will always be here. Those who lack understanding will be here. It's pretty simple. It's nothing. And the thing is about the people here, before we fell asleep, we probably was having conversations with the people here. Man, you believe in God? Yeah, I do. But do you understand Christ? Man, do you understand? Man, do you understand your lamp? Or do you just have it out there? So let me tell you what I had to learn about lamps. So trimming the lamp, adjusting the wick ensures the right flame size, right brightness and stability, helping the light burn effectively, and reduces issues like smoke and soot. You understand why they got up and trimmed their lamps? Why they made their lamps ready so it could be the brightest, best efficiently burning light that when he arrived. Trimming the wick, adjusting and maintaining. This could represent the ongoing process of spiritual refinement and self-examination. Sound right? Sound close? Now listen, people will say, hey, did you read a lot of commentary and come to this? No, I just kept reading the parables and asking Christ for understanding here to fill this oil, this lamp that you're trying to get started. I'm burning here because when you think about it, we say the lamp is burning. But when you get into the word, you find out how much that lamp really is burning. So with that, the trimming process, refinement, self-examination, just as a wick needs regular trimming to function optimally, our spiritual lives require a regular reflection and adjustment to stay in God's will. This is our light. Adjust it. It shouldn't be burning when it's at the max and you got too much wick in there and now it's burning fast and all you got is a bunch of soot in your life. What's the point? You got a light that ain't even burning right. Step back. Adjust your wick. Just check your oils. Make sure you have everything that's letting your life run efficiently. Flame size, right? Oh, right length of the wick. It's optimal function. This might symbolize finding balance in our spiritual lives, as a wick that is too long or too short can represent imbalance or extremes. And properly trimmed wick represents a balance and a healthy spiritual life. Now, I know we're just talking about these women going out there with their lamps, but it's a lot more as we see. These things are represented in this text. Now, I will tell you this. After I was done all of my notes, I said, let me see what the people who get paid to do this, the ones who write books and novels and the ones who go on YouTube and got 1 million views, let me see if they got to where I got. I didn't say I got to where they got, because I want to see. I hold everything by the scriptures I read. Let me see. I watched a video on YouTube. I said, wow, he got there too. I said, well, that's somebody who had time on YouTube. Not discrediting. I want to keep going. I got to someone who recently I met, not a physical meeting, but an understanding. I met him a long time ago when I was in the military, but I would always get through leadership books. You know, he would write leadership books based on religion. I read John MacArthur. Just so happened my wife bought a parable book. I'm not a big book reader, but every once in a while I'll pick one up. And here are the parables. And he's saying it all lined up. And I said, wow, the body that believe and that is ready will see that word. According, it won't change. It won't change. Everything I'm saying, if you was to read these 10 maidens, you may not get what I'm getting, but it won't change. You'll understand that it was 5 who were supposed to be faithful and ready, and there was 5 who were faithful and ready. It won't change. So the stories will be the stories. Let's continue with the wick. Burning efficiently. This could represent living a life that honors God, where our actions and decisions are guided by desire to serve and glorify Him. Efficient burning might symbolize a life of purpose and intention. We talk about this light. The light was not an unpurposeful light, because if it was daytime, we wouldn't be hearing about lamp. We'd be hearing about a different type of preparedness, right? But we see that this light has a purpose. It has a reason. It has the reason so that they can be seen in the dark. Is daytime out there right now? Look a little dark to me. If you understand what I'm saying, I think the same concept was here. Just because it gave us a time at night, the dark was never really the dark of the time of day. The darkness was already in their hearts because how they carried it. That's why they were considered foolish. When we hear foolish, don't think like that word just carries something little in the eyes of God. A foolish person is looked at as low, someone who has rejected wisdom. You don't become foolish because you're just born that way. No, you know things. You rejected it. Someone has said, done, or pointed to you that you should have yourself ready. And instead you said, I have enough oil in my light, and when he comes, I'll be ready. Well, let's see how ready the fool was. All right, so burning efficiently. Reducing issues like excessive smoke. These issues might represent the negative consequences of poorly managed spiritual life. Wow. A poorly managed spiritual life? How do I do that? God gave me the spiritual life. You can't manage a poorly spiritual life. Well, as we get into our next story, because everything carries on, it doesn't stay in one place. I want you to hold on managing your spiritual life, because we're going to talk about what that looked like too. All right, manage your spiritual life, such as bitterness, anger, resentment, as well as a trimmed wick. An efficient burner might symbolize the life marked by peace, joy, and freedom from spiritual clutter. There's a lot of spiritual clutter in this world right now. If you walk out there, you might step in one corner, you see someone teaching from the Talmud. You see another corner, you see someone teaching from the Quran. If you see somebody out there, they might teach you from the spaghetti religion. Anybody ever heard of spaghetti religion? Well, I tell you, I'm the only one. There's a religion based off of Spaghetti Monster, because they said that, again, there are things out there, groups of people that are putting spiritual clutter and darkening the world. Church of Beyonce just opened up about 3 months ago too. Literally, they sang Beyonce. What I'm trying to say, the spiritual clutter is out there. And if you don't have your light standing ready, guess what happens? Well, don't worry about it. I'm going to tell you what happened. What my time looking like here? What time I got to be done? Somebody help me out here. Because y'all, I roll through all these. I love it. 5 minutes. Don't give me 5 minutes. Give me 10. All right. So the interpretation helps us apply practical things, you know. Again, this isn't to say that Jesus was saying these are the answers to this is the wick. He didn't say that. I went back and I looked up what a wick was. I looked up the efficiency of it, the working of it. I dug in the scriptures and say, how, Lord? How does this relate? I don't want people just think I'm standing here talking about lamps and maidens. They need to understand what you would have had them who were in that crowd understand. How? Help me for them. And this is what he sent me. Again, I've never had to look up a lamp or wicks or anything to this day. It was not for me. The work was done for you so you can get the understanding of what your light looks like. Whew, we rolling along here. All right, verse 8 and 9. We're done talking about the wicks. And the foolish said to the wise. Now I want you to be mindful here. This is how the kingdom of heaven is being described. The foolish said to the wise, give us some of your oil, for our lamps are doing what? Now this is the thing. Their lamps were burning. They didn't get to a point where they saw these lamps and immediately said, you know what? This is more than enough oil that's going to last me this whole time. At some point, They looked over at their lamp and saw before this. We're just getting the story in After Effect. How many people look at their car right now? You driving a car and you got gas in it, and you know exactly how many miles you got in it until you need to go fill that gas tank up again. Some people drive to about 3 miles and they're ready to just magically come home and it's like, gas gonna appear in the tank. It's weird that way, and it works out because gas always appears in the tank some way, somehow, but not always through me. I can't take full credit of it. But I talk about how people will ride on an empty tank. I did it before. I think I pushed mine to 0 miles one day, and everybody in the car was looking at me like I was crazy. I said, I had to see if it was going to do it. But I tell you one thing, in that whole entire time of riding in 3 miles, 2 miles, 1 mile, my family around me, they shaking. Yeah, you need to get to the gas station. I didn't waver. But here's the truth, because I got to tell the truth from church. I was afraid. I knew at mile 19 that I needed gas. It was not a mystery to me. But if you think I was going to tell them, not today. So I wrote it. I had to live in my mistake. I didn't have the opportunity to lean over and say, hey, Jalita, can I get a little gas? You understand the finality of watching things go bad and not doing anything about it? You end up asking others for their oil, or you end up sitting in the driver's seat until you almost run out of gas. And then, because in my mind, see, these are things I get to talk about. In my mind, I'm thinking about running out of gas, but I'm also thinking about walking to the gas station, making sure my family is in a safe, lit place. Hey, let me pull over here by the light so y'all can be in a lit place. I'm thinking about what I have to do because of my mistakes. I'm not looking to say, can I borrow some of your oil? What did that teach me? Man, you better not push this one again. So guess what stays in my car now? I ain't gas. I ain't getting to 19 miles at all. I'm going to make sure I avoid that. Every time I ride by that gas station, I think about that. I think about the 2 paths that my life would have been on. Not having gas when I could have been got it, versus having to walk to the gas station with that same feeling in my stomach. It wasn't going to go away because I knew what I needed. When these maidens, foolish, asked the wise, give us some of your oil, for our lamps are going out. They knew. They knew the same thing that the wise knew, because guess what the wise reply was? But the wise answered, since there will not be enough for us and for you. Now this is collective. Listen to the us. Because guess what also happens when a foolish and a wise crowd get together? The wise stay with the wise, and the fools stay with the fools. If you notice, the wise, she didn't say, I can't give you any of mine. She said, us. Because guess what? You know what else? The wise and the foolish kind of tend to share in difference. The wise only want to, the foolish only want to be shared with. The wise see the us is all of us. We came out here prepared. Even if you came just as prepared as me, if you didn't adjust your wick just enough, get a little bit of my oil because you was prepared, because I know you got a flask too. We pour into you a little bit. We pour into each other as believers. We pour into the believer. But look what happened here. The believer said, I'm not pouring into your unwise ways. Go to the market. Go to church and get your own wisdom. Man, I thought, man, that's kind of harsh, man. We supposed to do that. Not at the hour when he coming. Because guess what? If you give up your belief, your faith, and how you operate at that hour of coming, then let's just go ahead and erase this and make that 6, not 5. You get what I'm saying? So we have to be wise with the oil that has been given to us in measure. You gotta spread it amongst the believer, but don't give it to the unwise. What is the point of giving it to the unwise? They already are out in the dark in their desires. They have rejected. Remember what I told you? I was going to tell you about rejection and how it looked different. They have rejected a principle before it even started because they weren't prepared. Hell's not going to be a place that people are going to walk into and they're going to, oh man, no. They know. They act surprised at the end, but they knew all along. They knew who they rejected. They know what it was is they didn't anticipate when he would come. Got 3 minutes? All right, bro. I ain't gonna make it through this all, but just 3 minutes is gonna be I'm gonna try to get my best 3 minutes. All right. And the foolish said to the wise, since thou will not be enough for us and you. Go rather to the dealer and buy it yourselves. The foolish lacks the oil. The foolish, however, lacked enough oil. However, the foolish, they did have enough oil in their lamp to give them a false hope of their starting. You understand? The foolish went out on a false ambition, a false start to what they knew would be their finality. Now, I always hear story. We talked about in Bible study. I'm gonna end it here. We talk about it in Bible study, and we talked about. I always say David saw that angel sitting up there in the heavens, and it actually made him move to do something completely different with his life. To hear the coming of the bridegroom and not do anything different with your lamp, your life, your faith. However some of the theologians put it towards. But the whole point is to have a lamp that's not properly taken care of, trimmed, and not enough oil with a little bit backup oil, is it really true trust at all? Because I'll tell you this, if the bridegroom was coming, which he is, I understand verses of the scriptures where they say, sell all your stuff and go do this and build into the church. And I get it. It's because those people believed that the oil that they had was more important than the things that were around them. Trust your oil. Go buy it now before it's too late. Because as we get into later verse and later text, we'll see what happens to those who are unprepared. Let's see.